right, everyone, welcome back. We're diving deep into Ethereum today, taking a look at how it performed in 2024. We've got this report, and we're going to break down what happened, what it all means, and what we can maybe expect going forward.
Definitely. And of course, got to say, this isn't financial advice, just
Yeah,
a friendly exploration of all this data, right?
exactly. Think of it as more of like a casual chat about the fascinating world of Ethereum. So let's get to it. The report basically shows Ethereum had a year with some big wins, but also some bumps in the road. It wasn't exactly the stellar year some people were hoping for.
Yeah, true. When you look at how the price moved, it only came in 14th place.
Added,
Out of the top 17 crypto assets, Bitcoin and Solana, those really gave Ethereum a run for its money this year.
yeah, it's like surprising, right?
Eh.
Especially since Ethereum's market cap is still over 10 billion.
Right. It makes you wonder why it lagged behind the others.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
Well, analysts are digging into that. The report seems to point to scalability.
Scalability, like its ability to handle tons of transactions quickly and smoothly.
Exactly. As more and more people and apps use the network, it's getting kind of crowded, leading to slower transactions and higher fees, which, let's be honest, isn't great for users or developers.
So it's like Ethereum has this huge potential,
Mm-hmm.
but it's having trouble keeping up with its own popularity.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And this is where things get really interesting. While Ethereum's struggling with scalability, there's been this explosion of activity happening on rollups.
Rollups, like,
Yeah.
is that like rolling up your sleeves to get stuff done outside of Ethereum's main system?
You got it. Think of them as like a layer on top, handling things off-chain.
Okay, so they're helping Ethereum do more.
Much faster and cheaper, too. Like imagine building a high-speed train to bypass traffic in a busy city.
I get it. So instead of getting stuck in traffic on the main Ethereum network, you can hop on the rollup express lane.
Exactly, and get things done way more efficiently. And you know what? The numbers show just how much people are loving this. By Q2 of 2024, rollups were handling a whopping 86% of all Ethereum transactions.
Wow, 86%. So does that mean like the main Ethereum network is becoming obsolete?
Ah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's causing a lot of debate.
Because if everyone's moving to rollups, what happens to the main Ethereum network?
Right. The report highlights this kind of tension between needing to scale up and also keeping those core values of decentralization and security.
It's like focusing so much on building new highways that you forget to maintain the actual city they're supposed to connect to.
Perfect analogy. And that's something we'll definitely dig deeper into because the rise of rollups is exciting, but it also presents some new challenges for Ethereum.
So Ethereum's at a crossroads. It needs to innovate to stay in the game.
Yeah.
What else did the report say about what happened last year?
Well, one of the biggest things was the approval of those Ethereum spot ETFs back in July.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Everyone was super excited. It felt like Ethereum was finally hitting the mainstream.
Yeah, it was a big deal. But the report points out that the actual money flowing into those ETFs was pretty underwhelming. They called it small potatoes.
So even with ETFs, big investors weren't as interested in Ethereum as everyone thought they'd be. Why not?
A few reasons, maybe. Some investors were probably still worried about the whole scalability thing. And honestly, after what happened in 2023, the overall feeling about crypto was still a bit cautious.
So a mix of Ethereum-specific problems and the overall mood in the crypto world.
Exactly. Which brings us to another interesting tidbit from the report. For the first time since that big merge back in 22, Ethereum experienced consistent inflation.
Hold on, inflation. I thought Ethereum was supposed to be deflationary. Like the supply was going to decrease over time.
Yeah, that was the plan. But the report says it didn't quite work out that way in 2024.
So what happened? Why the sudden inflation?
It seems like it was a combo of limited adoption, not enough people using it, and a drop in transaction fees on the main network. All those transactions happening on rollups mean less activity on Ethereum itself.
Oh, I see. Less action on the main network means less ether being burned. So the supply actually increased.
That's the gist of it.
Right.
And this whole inflation thing is something the Ethereum community is going to have to deal with going forward. Because if it can't keep that deflationary thing going, it could lose its edge in the crypto world.
So we've got scalability issues, hesitant investors, and now unexpected inflation. It sounds like Ethereum had a pretty rough go of it.
Yeah, there were definitely some hurdles, but, it wasn't all bad. The report highlights some areas where Ethereum is still doing really well, and that's what we'll get into next.
All right, sounds good. We'll be right back after this. We're back talking all things Ethereum and its 2024 performance. Before the break, we were talking about some of the, the not so great things it went through, like scalability problems and inflation.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't all bad news, was it?
Not at all. The report actually points out some really important areas where Ethereum is still a powerhouse. For one, it's still the main platform for all those decentralized applications, those dApps.
So even with the hiccups, it's the go-to spot for building those dApps.
Sure.
That's a big deal, right?
Huge advantage.
Yeah.
And about those scalability issues, the fact that solutions like rollups are growing so fast shows just how resourceful the community is.
It's like a city figuring out creative ways to deal with traffic, right?
Yeah.
Trying new things instead of just letting the problem get worse.
Exactly. The big question now is, can Ethereum use these innovations to really cement its position going forward? That's where things get interesting.
Because the competition's not exactly taking a break either.
Yeah.
We saw how Solana made some big moves in 24, especially with decentralized exchanges.
Yeah, Solana is a perfect example of how quickly things can change in crypto. It's a reminder that Ethereum can't just sit back and relax. It has to keep pushing if it wants to stay on top.
So what does the report say Ethereum needs to focus on to stay in the lead?
Well, one of the key things is interoperability. Remember how we talked about rollups creating this kind of fragmented landscape? The report basically says that figuring out how to connect all these different layer 2 solutions seamlessly, that's going to be crucial for Ethereum's long-term success.
It's like having a bunch of separate train lines that don't actually connect to each other.
Yeah.
Not very efficient, right?
Exactly. The report suggests that getting all those roll-up teams to work together, developing some shared standards, that's the key to making it all work smoothly.
Which would make the whole Ethereum ecosystem way more appealing for everyone, right?
Yeah.
Users and developers alike.
You got it. Now, another biggie the report brings up is this idea of value capture. It's all about Ethereum's ability to, benefit financially from all the activity happening on its network.
So if Ethereum is the foundation for all this innovation, it needs to get its fair share of the rewards.
Right. And that's been a bit of a struggle. As we said, a lot of the action has moved to those layer 2 solutions, which operate outside of the main Ethereum blockchain. So some of those fees that would normally go to Ethereum miners or stakers are now going to the rollup operators.
Should we be worried about that? Like, is it a bad thing that activity's moving away from the main Ethereum network?
It's definitely something to think about. The report argues that Ethereum needs to come up with new ways to make sure it's still capturing value as things evolve. Could be new fee structures, different revenue models, or maybe some creative incentives to bring more activity back to the mainnet.
It sounds like Ethereum's trying to walk a tightrope. It needs to adapt to stay relevant, but it also can't lose sight of those core values of decentralization and security.
Exactly. Finding that balance is crucial. And the decisions made in the next few years will have a huge impact on what happens to Ethereum. The report doesn't really give easy answers, but it lays out a way to think about these tricky issues.
So if someone's interested in Ethereum, as a user or an investor, what are the key things to take away from this report? What should they be watching as we head into 25?
Keep your eyes on the layer 2 space. That whole evolution of roll-ups and how they're becoming more interoperable, that's a big one. And the value capture debate, that's another important thing to track.
Can Ethereum find ways to support innovation and stay financially healthy at the same time? That's the million-dollar question.
Definitely. The report also says Ethereum needs to keep innovating, keep improving its core tech. The race for scalability isn't over Solana, and others are pushing the limits of what blockchain can do.
So Ethereum can't just rest on its past achievements. It has to keep proving it's committed to building a platform that can handle the future.
Exactly. The future of Ethereum is far from certain. There are real challenges, but there's also so much potential. How well it adapts, innovates, and meets the needs of its users, that'll determine its success.
This deep dive has been super insightful. What about you? What do you think about the bigger picture here? Ethereum's journey, what does it say about crypto in general?
What's so interesting about Ethereum is that it's like a microcosm of the entire crypto world. It's a story of rapid innovation, constant change, and this struggle to balance idealism with practicality.
So what does that mean for the future of crypto as a whole? What lessons can we learn from what Ethereum went through in 2024?
Well, one thing's for sure, scalability. That's a major challenge for any blockchain that wants to go mainstream, whether it's layer 2 solutions, sharding, or something totally new, figuring out how to handle tons of transactions smoothly. That's going to be key.
And it seems like the community plays a huge role in crypto Ethereum's success. A big part of that is thanks to its dedicated developers and users.
Absolutely. They're the ones spotting problems, pushing for innovation, and championing Ethereum's vision of a more open internet.
It sounds like 2025 and beyond are going to be pretty wild for the crypto world.
You can bet on it. And Ethereum, with all its strengths and weaknesses, will definitely be at the heart of it all.
Thanks for sharing your insights today. This deep dive has given everyone a lot to chew on as we navigate this ever-changing crypto landscape.
It's been my pleasure. And as always, stay curious.
Okay, so we've covered a ton about how Ethereum did in 2024, all the challenges, the wins, and what it needs to tackle going forward. Now let's shift gears a bit and look ahead. What does the report say about the future of Ethereum?
Always fun to try and predict the future, especially with crypto. It's such a fast-moving space.
Right. So, putting on our prediction hats, what does the report say about what's in store for Ethereum in 2025 and beyond?
Well, there are a few scenarios in the report that really stood out to me. One that I found super interesting is the idea of a mega rollup.
Mega rollup.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What exactly is that?
Basically, imagine one giant rollup solution that becomes the platform for pretty much all Ethereum activity. It'd be like combining all those separate layer 2 solutions into one big powerhouse.
So instead of all these different rollups doing their own thing, there's one major player that everyone uses.
Exactly. And the report suggests this could actually solve a lot of the problems we've talked about, like scalability and interoperability.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
One unified rollup would definitely streamline things. But wouldn't that also create some new issues? Like, wouldn't it make Ethereum more centralized?
Yeah, that's a valid concern. And the report acknowledges that trade-off, if one rollup gets too big, it could undermine the whole decentralized nature of Ethereum.
So it's a balancing act. Efficiency versus decentralization.
Hmm.
What are some of the other scenarios the report talks about?
Another one that's pretty cool is the idea of Ethereum becoming this super modular, interconnected network, like a bunch of specialized layer 2 solutions, each one designed for a specific purpose.
So instead of one mega rollup, you'd have all these different rollups working together, each one focusing on its own niche.
Precisely. It allows for a lot more flexibility and customization, right? It could cater to all sorts of different needs and applications.
It sounds like the future of Ethereum might not be a single platform, but more like this dynamic ecosystem, a network of interconnected solutions.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it. The report really stresses that adaptability and innovation are going to be key for Ethereum to thrive in the long run.
So bottom line, what does all this mean for our listeners? What should they be thinking about as they explore the world of Ethereum?
I think the most important thing is to stay curious. Stay up to date on what's happening with layer 2 solutions, pay attention to that whole value capture conversation, and don't be afraid to try out different rollups and see how they work.
And don't forget the whole point of crypto, right?
Yeah.
It's about experimentation. Try different platforms, explore new dApps, get involved in the community.
Exactly. The future of Ethereum is literally being built right now, and everyone has a chance to be a part of it.
This has been a fantastic deep dive. Thanks so much for sharing your expertise with us.
My pleasure. Always happy to chat about Ethereum. And to everyone listening, keep exploring, keep learning, stay curious.